All right, what is up, my friends? What's going on? Today, I'm excited to bring you my first donation deck list on this channel. This is being brought to you by our good friend by the name of Zane. Zane has contributed this deck to the channel and has asked me to test it out and give my thoughts and my opinions regarding this build. Zane has shipped me a build today with some very, very interesting tech that actually a couple of people asked me about in the comments section of last week's video. So Zane is appealing to the masses here and giving us a list. He's giving us the list that the people want. So today, if you'll notice, I purposely chose this art to make the card stand out more so amongst its companions here. We have a 1-of Phyrexian Obliterator in the main deck. For those that are not familiar, Phyrexian Obliterator reads, it's a 5/5 trample for 4 black, and whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. So a card like this would be valuable in a metagame where red-based removal is everywhere, in a metagame where a card like Fury is everywhere, and in a metagame where a deck like Rhinos is very popular. So Phyrexian Obliterator kind of fills a couple of different roles in this deck list and in this build, and I'm curious to see how it performs over the course of the league today. The rest of Zane's main deck, pretty stock and standard, nothing too crazy. Shaving on a Boseiju, making room for an Urborg, only 1 Twilight Mirror in the 60. Curious to see how that works with the Obliterator in the main deck. Outside of that, Zane, unfortunately, running a Zulaport Cutthroat instead of a Blood Artist in the main deck. I'm curious to see how that pans out as well. Not a fan of the card, but Zane, I respect your choices here. So that's kind of the summary of the main deck. Everything else, him and we're on the same page with regards to how the deck is built from there. Sideboard-wise, Zane is shaving on a Thoughtseize and opting for a Shieldred, a Magus of the Moon, and an extra creature for Artifact Hate in the sideboard. So we have a Haywire Might and an Outland Liberator. Still running the 2 Endurance, 3 Force of Vigors, and Zane is opting for 2 Go for the Throats instead of a 1/1 split Go for the Throat and Fatal Push. I like the build of this deck. It's a little different than the way I would do things, but I think it gives me a little bit of perspective, or will give me a little bit of perspective in terms of maybe some things that I could potentially change with my list. So I'm eager to take this through league, eager to see how this big beater does over the course of this league. So everybody, come join me with Zane's donation deck list. Let's check it out through the course of this league. And before we get started, just to say so, if you ever want me to play your list on this channel, check out in the description below. I have in my email address. You can reach out to me and find out how to do so. It's a great way to support this channel and get your deck some shine in the process. So let's jump into this league and see how it goes with Zane's donation deck list featuring Phyrexian Obliterator. All right, we are jumping into our Modern League with Zane's donation deck, Obliterator Yawg. We are playing against Drayton, and we are on the play. Let's see how this Obliterator game plan plays out. Opening 7, very, very close 7. We're short on mana, but we have quite a few turn 1 plays. I'm going to keep this risky, but we're going to give it a go. Opponent mulligans to 6. Zane, I hope I do you proud here. We'll see. See if I can hold my own. Opponent keeps their 6-card hand. We're going to lead Catacombs, Fetch, and Overgrown Tomb. We will shock that in, play out our Hierarch, which hopefully survives, and then pass back. What are you doing over there, Drayton? Hopefully not killing our Hierarch. All right, we're in it. We're in it. Land drop. Had it the whole time. All right, so from here, I'm going to get my Grist into play. I could build out my board state with my Wall of Roots, but I kind of want, like, with them showing me a Triome, I'm thinking Wrenn 6 is a possibility, and if it is, I would like for them to minus on my Hierarch, and then I can swing in with my Geist, which will kind of be like a, surprise, I got a Geist. Surprise, your Wren's dead. So we'll see if this happens. Okay, another Triumph. So, okay, Tainted Indulgence. All right, so this is like a Reanimator deck. Fortunately, our hand sucks, so there's nothing they can really do to it. We don't really care about it. I take the Geist. Okay, I was expecting an Ephemerate there, which they did not have, so that's good to know. Bird. Can we play out our whole hand? Almost. Almost. So we'll play plus our Grist. Evo goes to the graveyard. A little unfortunate. We'll swing for 2. I think we're going to go Wall, Bird, and Young Wolf. We are giving them a little bit of information with this Bird, but I think we're okay with that. We got a super wide board state here. I'm going to lean on this peatland, hopefully draw into a piece of business if we don't draw it this turn. Okay, Fable, sure. Business? Not business. Okay, I think I'm going to start with a draw with this peatland here. Okay, we found ourselves an Innkeeper. From here, I think the way we're going to play this, I'll play out the Innkeeper, play out the Young Wolf. I'm going to minus the Grist, kill the Shaman token, and then swing in for a bunch. Gain another life, and we still have our Grist up with a minus if we need it, depending on what they do on their next turn. So our board is really wide. It's not really powerful though, with the exception of the Grist here. We'll see what they discard. I wonder if this is like a Goryo's Vengeance type strategy. Yeah, there's an Atrax in the graveyard, so that's kind of what I'm expecting. So we might be losing our Grist this turn. Yep, there it is. They're going to draw a bunch of cards, which is scary, but at the same time, if we just find a Yawgmoth, none of this really matters. Like, we'll be able to recover from this. Alright, so they take Marsh Flats, Leyline Binding, Solitude, and Ephemerate. So that's pretty good. This mana is offensive. Very offensive mana. Alright, so our Grist is going away. Now, I wonder if they're going to Solitude Ephemerate from here, or they could just Ephemerate this Atraxa. That's what they're doing. Okay, draw more cards. They're going to be discarding cards this turn, I would imagine. So Ephemerate's gone. We know about Solitude, Marsh Flats, and Leyline Binding. We keep Flooded Strand, Faithful Mending, and Solitude. So they have 2 Solitudes. I imagine they discard a land. Yes, there's the Marsh Flats. Okay, so that's what their hand looks like. Pretty powerful. Another Grist. Another Grist, not bad. So what we will likely do is we'll Grist, we'll kill this Atraxa, and then we'll swing in for a bunch. If they have something like another Goryo's Vengeance, yeah, they'll get us on that one, but they could also have another Ephemerate. Okay, we'll minus. See if they have another Ephemerate here. In which case, if they do, we'll probably just be dead, but what are you going to do? Opponent's fetching, sure. Godless Shrine, sure. Leyline Binding, sure. Are you going to hit my Grist now? Okay, that doesn't really change anything. Okay, here goes the Atraxa, and now we're going to swing in for 5, put them down to 13. So despite the fact they gained 7 life off that Atraxa last turn, we're still kind of pressuring their life total. They do have 2 Solitudes in hand. They used a Leyline Binding. They don't have anything to use that Ephemerate on, so we did blank that. And I think if they had a Goryo's Vengeance, they would have used it there, bringing back the Atraxa and then blinking it. So they drew another, however many cards. They're going to fetch here. Got the Reflection in play. This thing's going to be problematic. Okay, they did have, okay, that was interesting. Just the sheer card advantage here. So they'll keep a Grief, a Faithful Mending, and a Hallowed Fountain. Okay, so we know about those cards now. Once again, if we find a Yawgmoth, we can make this all right. Like, that's all we need to do to win this game here. It is not over by a long shot. Like, if we do find Yawgmoth, their line is going to have to be Solitude in response, I would imagine. All right, we'll go down to 11. That's fine. Another Reflection, sure. This Reflection can't copy Atraxa, so that's not something we need to worry about. I guess this Atraxa is going away now. Okay, cool. Clean up, let's see what they discard. They do have another Goryo's Vengeance in hand. Bristlebrand, Grief. Grief is gone. Okay. Okay, that's not what we're looking for. So now we're in a bit of a situation because they're going to be able to start wiping our board. So we'll start with Intact for 3. I don't think they double block there. And then from here, I think we just pass back. Discard 2, draw 2. There's a good chance we'll just die this turn, I think. Another Atraxa. There's only so many Atraxas you can beat in one turn, or in one game. Goryo's Vengeance, yes. It's a third one, Atraxa. Imagine they take an Ephemerate, Swamp, Ephemerate, and Grizzlebrand. So we know about these cards. It's tough keeping track of all this. Alright, we're gonna go down to 4. I mean, they have so many cards, I don't know why they felt the need to ephemerate that thing. I feel like just having Solitude ephemerate up is probably good enough. So I have 3 Solitudes in hand now. Leyline Binding, Solitude, Godless Shrine, Ephemerate. Okay, they're gonna have to discard 5 cards. There's only so many white cards they can have in their hand, so... Okay, they discard 3 lands and a Fable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They don't have one of these cards. I think they're probably the Mending? Or do they discard the Grizzlebrand as well? Looks like it. Okay, that's their hand. Pretty stocked. Okay. Okay, so you're saying there's a chance. They're saying there's a chance. So they can Solitude Ephemerate. I think I let them try to make that move and then go from there. And then just try to win at instant speed. Let's see if they do it. There it is, okay. Discarded a Faithful Mending. I'm gonna let this happen. I'm not even gonna pretend like I have something. I'm gonna wait for them to ephemerate. And then I'm gonna try to pull some chicanery here. Okay, create a copy. Sure. Who are you targeting? Innkeeper. Okay, this is where we make the move. I'd like to get a Yawgmoth Thran Physician and gain a life. I'd like to activate my Yawgmoth. Okay, there's an ephemerate. Sure, I'll let that happen. Targeting Yawgmoth. Sure. Leyline Binding. Quite a stack here. Targeting Innkeeper. Interesting. So they have 1 card left and it's another Solitude. Okay, so from here, I'm in a little bit of a predicament. This is a pretty crazy stack, right? So basically what I need is I need to pull a cord. That is not a cord. I think that just does me in. The reason being is because I'm at 1 life here. Yep, we're dead. If I pulled a cord there, I would have been able to get out of that situation, but I did not. Okay. Game 2. I think we'll have a better chance game 2 here. I'm gonna bring in Magus, Endurances, Thought Seizes. I don't think this is a matchup for Obliterator. I don't think that's a card we want here. I think Force of Vigors are also reasonable. An Ooze, Liberator, a Might, darn near everything. All right, so we're gonna have to shave on some of these. I don't think we can bring these all in. We'll start with Endurances, Ooze, Thoughtseize. I think those are probably the most important cards. Might and Liberator, maybe we don't have the Force of Vigors, and the Magus is a maybe. Okay, what can I shave on? Young Wolf seems really weak, so we'll cut some Young Wolves. We didn't see any like direct damage removal, so I think we're gonna shave some Wall of Roots as well. Magus, I mean Magus messes up their mana quite a bit. That might be worthwhile. Maybe we skim on Hepatra. I don't hate Hepatra. I mean Hepatra is just like a really good utility creature. Innkeeper seems medium. And then I don't know if we need like Endurances and Ooze. Ooze is just kind of like slow. I think I'm gonna not bring in the Ooze. Or maybe I bring in the Ooze and don't bring in the Might. I like having access to the Might though. Yeah, I think we're gonna shave on the Ooze and we'll go with this. Okay, opening 7, we'll keep this. It's a little underwhelming if they do have an early reanimation spell, but if not, I think this is strong. Land, we'll get a Burden to play. Pass the turn. Turn 2, I can go Wall of Roots into Patra. Turn 3, I can get my Grist down, potentially. Okay, this is getting exiled. So from here, I'm gonna fetch, deal myself a little bit of damage, and we'll get this wall into play. Build out our game plan a little bit here. Feels like this could be a tough matchup. Just the Ephemerate Solitude thing is pretty good against our deck. Okay, they do nothing. Representing, I guess, counter magic of some sort. That was a good draw. We are short a black source to make that pop, so to speak. Play out our Grist, we'll plus our Grist. Okay, so this, what they're representing here is a Faithful Mending, so they could potentially have a Traxen to play next turn. And that's actually what I'm expecting. Yeah, it's a little unfortunate. They had 2 basics in hand as well. They didn't fetch at all. Okay. No big scary creature in the graveyard. That's good for us right now. They are lacking extra colors of mana to be able to cast out 3 basics. Wow. Teferi, sure. 4 cards in hand. Plus, interesting. Interesting. Drew another Yawg, but unfortunately we don't have what we need to be able to use that the way we want to. So I think we start with an attack and hit them for 1. And I'm going to minus this Grist to kill the Teferi. I don't want them to generate card advantage off of this. Cast out our Liberator. Cast out our Hapatra. Minus, sack an insect. And we'll kill this Teferi. I don't know if that was oversight on their part, not minusing there. Like they're down a card because they chose not to do that. Shadow Prophecy, sure. So they'll get 3, they'll get 2 of those 3 and take 2 damage. They can put up to 2, so if they have like 2 big creatures, they can just throw both of them in their graveyard. Okay, Trax is in the graveyard, so we're basically got 1 turn here. Need to find a black source. Okay, it's kind of like a black source. Plus here. Swing 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is like, okay, not an ephemerate. Whew, that was close. Okay, so this crushes me. This is a poor move on my part. This is pretty brutal. So now if they have, well, I guess I can get an endurance from here. So this is actually not that bad. Okay, could be worse. Could be worse. So if they have a reanimation spell, I'll be able to get endurance. Fable. Okay. Notice our Frenzied Trapbreaker is flipped, so we can deal with this. They have 1 mana up, and we drew an endurance. Okay, this is good. This is very good. Start with a plus here. Not going to make the same mistake again. We'll swing. Take down their Fable. And from here, I'm going to give myself a Yawgmoth. We haven't made a land drop yet, so I'm going to do this here and now. We're going to kill this Goblin. This is the last Yawgmoth in our deck as well. Minus, okay, that's a good one. Do want to find a green source, or a green card. We'll play out land tapped, and then we will pass the turn. Feels like we're pretty far ahead here. Tainted Indulgence, be my guest. Marsh Flats. Marsh Flats, fetch. Godless Shrine. Faithful Mending again. Okay, so they're kind of like trying really hard to find something at this point. From here, 1, 2, 3. So I think we have lethal on the next turn. Grizzlebrand goes to the graveyard, sure. So they cast 2 spells, Liberator flips back. Okay, so from here, Geist. Basically what I'm looking for from here is just a black card. Or a black mana source. That's what I meant by that. Grist. They scoop. Okay. Game 3. So we didn't see any Leyline Bindings there. Go for the Throat. I wonder if Go for the Throat's worth it. They just have so much card advantage if they get one of their creatures into play. I feel like it's kind of a lost cause at that point. On the draw, I think I'm going to shave a chord. I'm going to go like this. Alright, fingers crossed. Wish me luck. Opening 7, Zulaport. Ugh. Gross. This hand's kind of slow, but I think it's a keep. I mean, Zulaport is better than Blood Artist in this instance in that it can attack. And it's actually probably better in this matchup just in general, so we'll take that. Yeah, I would love a black source off the top so I can curve into like Thoughtseize into Zulaport and have Endurance up. Opponent keeps a 6-card hand. What you got? Shrine tapped. My go. Black source. Alright, it's a 1-drop, I'll take it. It's not great, but what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? Opponent's down at 18, so they're representing a Faithful Mending. Okay, there's our second black source. A turn later than we would have liked it, but I'm still happy to see it. So from here, I'm going to lead with the attack. And I'm actually going to play out the Zulaport as opposed to the Thoughtseize. The reason being is we're anticipating a Mending here, and then I'm going to leave up Endurance. And if I use the Endurance, I'm going to have Thoughtseize next turn. If I don't use the Endurance, I can Thoughtseize next turn. Mending, double attracts in the graveyard. Got it. They have 4 cards in hand, 5 cards in hand. I have a good feeling we're going to be using this Endurance this turn. Okay, there it is. Unfortunately, we have to get rid of our Grist, but we're not really in a position to allow this to happen here. Zulaport. Alright, no creatures for you. They have 3 cards in hand. I feel like this Thoughtseize is going to come in handy. The hope here is we draw into a Geist. Okay, we'll take a land. Another land's not bad. That represents... I'm going to Thoughtseize to start with. Prophecy, Teferi. Prophecy is super slow, so I'm going to let them have that because we'll have our Yawgmoth next turn. It's also not a white card, so can't pitch it to Solitude. Cast a main phase Prophecy. Sure, they'll look at 3 cards, 2 into the graveyard. We're going to fetch Dryad Arbor here. Grief goes to their graveyard. Basic island. They have 3 cards in hand. Bird. So I am telegraphing that I have a Yawgmoth here, so this might be a little bit of a mistake the way I sequence this, but I think it's okay. They're up to 4 cards, one of which is a Shadow Prophecy. Teferi. Sure. I imagine they're going to bounce our Yawgmoth. Yes. We're going to draw some cards. If I find a land here, I'm going to get rid of... Yes, I'm going to get rid of... Actually, I don't need to do that. I think we just let this happen. They have 3 cards in hand. So if they could reanimate the Grief there, that would be problematic. A Patron, not bad. Okay, so I'm going to swing into this Teferi to start with. I wonder if I hit it... Just hit it 1? I feel like we're really close to hitting them for lethal, so... They have something. A removal spell of some sort. Tainted Indulgence. Okay, interesting. Guess they're looking for a Solitude. Can't respond to this. Okay, Teferi down. I don't think... Did we play a land yet for turn? Oh, we did. Okay. Cast out my Yawgmoth. They're at 6. They're almost dead. I'd like to draw a card here. 4. Did we? I think we played land for turn. We did. Okay. So looking at 3, down to 2, down to 1. I think we have lethal here. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, yeah, we should have lethal here. Okay, Endurance pretty much seals that up. Shuffle all their stuff back, and they scoop. We got there, 1-0.
All right, we are back. Match 2 of our Modern League with Zane's donation deck. We are going to be on the draw, and our opening 7 is close because it's slow, but I think we're going to keep it. Spire Bluff Canal. Okay. So this says to me we're playing against either Murktide or Living End. We'll see which one it is. I'm going to lead on a Tomb tapped and then pass the turn. Okay. Looks like Murktide. Okay, Ragavan coming down. Being dashed. We're going to take a hit for 2. They'll steal something off the top. Hopefully a land. Okay, a Yawgmoth. It's fine. We didn't really want to draw that, so... NBD. From here, I'm actually going to fetch basic to play around a Blood Moon, potentially. So I'll use my Forest and play out our Geist, and we're going to leave that on defense because we know about the Ragavan. No attacks here. Okay, there's a Blood Moon, which we fortunately played around. We are going to get cut off of black mana here, which is a little unfortunate, but we will have this Evo that we can use, hopefully. Wall of Roots, Birds of Paradise. Alright, I'm going to continue to leave this Geist back. I don't want to forfeit my Wall of Roots if I don't have to. Alright, Bird's getting bolted. To be expected. Iteration. This does mean our opponent's not going to be able to counterspell Yawg if we get it into play. Or if we like Evo it into play, so that's really good. Additionally, if we can find ourselves a swamp, we can just go infinite from here. Oh, okay. So they find another island. Got it. And a Shredder, sure. Oh, turn off auto yields. Okay, I did not mean to yield through that. That was a mistake. I hit the yield button and I did not mean to. We'll sacrifice the Geist here. And we'll get ourselves a Yawgmoth. Or I could get myself the Obliterator. I wonder if that's actually better. Like, can they deal with that? I suppose they could try to bounce it. And then next turn I can Evo for a Yawg. Other options, I could get an Endurance. There's 2 more basics left in the deck. This is an interesting decision point here. I have 4 cards in hand. Yeah, I think I'm just going to get Yawgmoth. I think that's probably the best play. Next turn, if I get the opportunity to Evo again, I might get the Obliterator. No, I won't get the Obliterator. I'll just get another Undying creature at that point. Or an Innkeeper, probably. Okay, they're going to Iteration again. Unholy Heat. They only have 3 card types. They're looking to put a 4th into the graveyard. And that will be the 4th right there. So the situation's a little unfortunate. We could try to draw into an Endurance here, but it will cut us off of our 2nd green mana, which I don't know that that's worth it. They have 3 cards in hand. A little bit of a situation here. Do we draw 2 cards? Do we not draw 2 cards? Well, I don't think we can. We just have to let that happen, unfortunately. Okay, drawing into a grist. All right, so what are my options here? I can Evo, get another Yawgmoth, but then we won't have any board presence. Evo into an Innkeeper. I think I'm actually just going to get the Obliterator here. Or maybe I just get an Endurance, but that doesn't really get me super far. If they have like a Murktide, they'll just be able to race us for the most part. Like the Shredder can race us as well. I'm just going to get the Obliterator. We're going to see how this goes. We're going to see how this one goes. If they have an ability to bounce this, there's no way we're recasting this with this Blood Moon on the table. Okay, to heat down our Wall of Roots. This feels like a Murktide. Sure. Okay. That's a very quick clock. Okay. Yeah, this Blood Moon is tearing us a new one here. We'll swing for 5. Opponent chooses not to block wisely. Play out a land and we'll pass the turn. Yeah, we needed one more turn to be able to play around this Blood Moon the way that we wanted to. We're going to take a hit for 11. We'll go down to 3. I don't know that we necessarily have an out from here. I think we're just dead. Another Wall of Roots. I imagine they have a counterspell in hand. But, I mean, this doesn't even matter. Okay, we're going to scoop it up. We're not winning this one. Alright, game 2. Bring in more Endurances. We'll keep in the Obliterator. I think we're fine with that. We're going to bring in double Go for the Throat, Veil of Summer, and a Thoughtseize, I suppose. And we'll get rid of 3 Hierarchs, Zulaport, and Evos. I think we're going to go with that. Alright, game 2. Let's see how this goes. Slow hand, but I think it's fine. It's kind of almost the same hand we had last game. Opponent mulligans to 6. Play out our land. Pass the turn. Okay, they do nothing. We'll yield through the turn. Veil of Summer, not terrible. I'm going to fetch basic because of what had happened last game there. And we'll play out our Wall of Roots and pass the turn. Start ramping our mana a little bit. So the second land we have here can get a basic swamp. And then we'll have both of our colors for the remainder of this game. Regardless of what they do. Shredder, sure. So it's going to be close to putting 4 card types into their graveyard. Okay, that will put 4 card types in their graveyard. And from here I think we're probably going to get the Ooze down and just start chewing up their graveyard a little bit. Okay, Overgrown Tomb. I'm going to shock that in. And we'll get down Yawg next turn because we have this Veil of Summer. I think we will leave it at that for now. And then during their turn we'll try to eat some more. See if they have a Bolt or not. Another Blood Moon. It's really annoying. Really annoying. I guess I should have played around it again. That was a mistake. Yeah, you got a Blood Moon. Another Bobble. Sure. I should have added it. Probably added a green. I should have added a green and eaten something out of their graveyard. That was a mistake. Interesting they put another Murktide in the graveyard. Eat that Murktide. Okay, Endurance is a very good draw. I'll play out a land. I'm going to swing for 4 to start with. And we're going to chew up their graveyard. So I'm just going to cast this here and now. Back up to 5 cards for them. Second Shredder, sure. Holy Heat our Wall of Roots. Yeah, I think we're in trouble with this Blood Moon here, unfortunately. We will swing for 5. Creatures aren't big enough to kill this yet. So I'll play out a land, and then we're going to pass the turn here. If we find a Viseiju, we can really open things up, but until then, we're in a little bit of a predicament. We kept a card on top, a Canal, a Pyromancer, and that will pretty much fill up their entire graveyard. Discard a Blood Moon, Spire Bluff Canal, and a Subtlety. Okay. Alright, drawing more lands. So they have 4 card types. We can take them off of Delirium. Not in a position to attack anymore, unfortunately. So if they have something like an Unholy Heat and I fire off this Ooze right here and now, we will lose our Ooze. So I can't do that, so I just have to wait. Okay, that's a good one. I would love to be able to cast that with an extra mana up, an extra green up. I have to imagine they have a counter spell at this point. Okay, that's also a good one. So that actually gives me the ability to Chord and have Veil of Summer up. So I think we're going to do that during their turn. I think we're actually going to get the Obliterator here. So we'll double trigger the Shredders here. Discard a land. Okay, and this just resolves. I'm going to get the Obliterator. Okay, the Unholy Heat my Endurance. Sure. Lightning Bolt me. Sure. So they're going to try to race us here. Okay, they lose their entire graveyard. And now I am free and clear to eat an Endurance and grow this ooze at 1 bigger here. I have 4 cards in hand. So we have a 7/7 and a 5/5 trample. And the question is 7, 8, 4, 6. So if I attack in with this ooze, that will not be good enough. Okay, I take a hit for 5. This Obliterate is actually pretty impressive here. I'm going to leave this ooze back. Third swap, Bobble, 3 cards in hand. Bolt targeting me, sure. Okay, down to 16. Attack me for 7, I'm going down to 9. Ooze is going to put me back up to 10. So if they have something like another Bolt, there's a good chance I lose. Okay, I don't think I can attack with the ooze here. So they have to block. They'll block and then they'll have to sacrifice something. I imagine they sacrifice a land. Yep. And Dried Arbor, actually not a bad draw there. Hearse, sure. I don't think that really does anything. Just gives them another permanent that they can sacrifice. So they're gonna have to put 5 toughness in front of this. Okay, so they're gonna be sacrificing 5 permanents. Yeah, sure. Let's see how they do this. I think this is a mistake. I think these should be in the graveyard. Damage doesn't go on the stack, so they shouldn't be allowed to sacrifice. And that seems like that was a mistake. That doesn't seem like that should have worked like that. I wonder if that was in error there. Oh, I forgot about the hearse. Oops. Okay. Yeah, I wonder if that's a bug on Moto. From my understanding, damage doesn't go onto the stack, so... Or maybe that was correct. I don't know. Okay, now we're in business. Now we're cooking. Okay, so I think we start with an attack here. So 4 and 4. So I'm in a little bit of a situation. I can kill... I don't think they thought about this one. Alright, you have your hearse. Yep, you can block. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, and from here, so I could cast out Grist. I could Thoughtseize them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I think we just wait 1 more turn. Iteration, sure. Consider into the exile zone, sure. So if they find a Bolt here, I just lose though. We'll see if they get that. Okay, no attacks. They don't have a Bolt. Okay, so we're gonna fetch. I think this is all of our lands here. I believe so. All right, that's a good one. So that should just spell lethal. So it could lead Thoughtseize. Okay, so they do have a Bolt for that. Okay. All right, so from here, I'm gonna Thoughtseize them. See what they're working with. Counterspell, Pyromancer, and Heat. Okay, so I think we're gonna get rid of Pyro and play out this Grist. I'm gonna pass the turn. It's kind of a crazy game, right? Okay, I drew a Consider, sure. I don't think, unless they draw another Pyromancer, I don't think there's anything they can have to save them at this point. They drew a land. Okay, yeah, they're dead. Attack both our creatures, and that should do it. Heat the insect, sure. Guess they're trying to chew up time. Game 3, okay. And for game 3, I'm gonna bring in the Might. Maybe I bring in the Liberator. I feel like Liberator is probably better because of a hearse. And I'm gonna shave, I think I'm gonna shave a Geist. We'll go like this. 9 minutes on the clock. Opening 7. Can't keep this, we have to mulligan. This is so bad too. We gotta go down to 5. Oh, this is so bad. We'll keep it. It's bad. 5. So you get rid of the Veil. I think we're in trouble. Chord of Calling. I'm going to fetch basic here. So we will have access to our Wall of Roots if and when we draw a second land. Like, if we draw a second land, we're actually not in terrible shape. But we do need to find that Shredder, sure. Bobble. Combo. Okay, second land with a caveat that it is not a Dryad Arbor. Alright, land one time. Not a land. Ugh. So that can kind of do the job. Kind of, sort of, depending on what they do on their turn. Mold to 5, keep a 1-lander. Doesn't feel great. They're going to consider here. They can play out a Murktide from this point. Kind of feels like that's what they're going to be doing. Yeah, okay, a hearse. Interesting. Attack for 3, sure. Okay, and we're so far behind, I think we have to take this line. Endurance, get rid of Innkeeper. Chord, get our Dryad Arbor. And we'll trigger this Shredder here. Pretty bad. They have 4 cards in hand. Drew into another Young Wolf. Young Wolf's actually not terrible. It's going to trigger the Shredder once more, but it's giving us cards for this Chord of Calling. I have to imagine they're going to bolt down this Dryad Arbor. 4. And for some crazy reason they don't, and we pull a land, we'll be able to get a Yawg next turn. Okay, iteration. Okay, hoping they break down a land here. Need to get a little lucky. Missed a land. Alright, deck. Land one time. And we need to dodge a Spell Pierce as well. Alright, so that is kind of like a land. It doesn't give us Chord on our turn. It gives us Chord on their turn. Depending on what they do. Nothing, okay. Alright, there's a land. So we're getting to the point where we can play around a Spell Pierce, which is nice. Okay, they're Unholy Heating our Hierarch, sure, we don't care about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not much happening here. Opponent has 6 cards in hand. So we need a flash threat. Okay, we got perfect mana now. We need to find ourselves an Endurance to bait a counterspell while they're tight on resources, and then get our Yawg into play. Unholy Heat a Wolf, sure. Okay, we're good on lands now. Deck, I appreciate you giving me what I asked for, but we're good. We're good, we're good. It's very easy to get impatient with this Chord of Calling too, like to just want to fire it off, but they are constrained on resources. They definitely have a counterspell in hand. So like you're not sneaking this through. You need to pick your spot. Another Wall of Roots. Wall of Roots is fine. Play a Wall of Roots. Okay, they have a Spell Snare, sure. Dress down, kind of annoying. So I could Chord for 3 right now. I don't think that that really gets me anywhere. So we're gonna wait on that. I guess I could have gotten Endurance, that would have been fine. Would have been fine, good, not great. Iteration, sure. They got their land. Shredder is in exile. Can't imagine they're gonna cast that. 6 cards in hand. Attacking with a 4/6, sure, I'll take it. Okay, drawing into a Veil of Summer or a Thoughtseize or something like that would be best case scenario. Thoughtseize probably not good enough. Veil of Summer would probably do it. Twilight Mirror, another land, sure. Okay, the hope here is they mess up and they fetch EOT. Do it. Fetch. Nope. Opponent is too smart for that. This is going to be a Murktide here. So we're getting put into a situation here where we're going to be priced into using this Chord here. Like the clock is getting a little too fast, so we do need to do something. And we're going to have to draw on our turn because like this Chord is going to get countered. Okay, there's the counterspell, which we were expecting, and now we need to top deck. They discard a Blood Moon, sure. All right, they have 4 card types, so if they have an Unholy Heat, they can just bolt down a Yawg. All right, that's not going to do it. I'm going to scoop it. 1-1. Jumping back into our Modern League, currently 1-1 with Zane's donation deck list. We are going to be on the play against Gronzak. Let's go. All right, drawn a lot of slow 7s, but on the play I think this one's fine. Opponent has revealed an Obosh. Obliterator will be interesting in this matchup. I'm curious to see how that one goes. Let's do it. We'll keep. I don't know if they can beat an Obliterator on their deck. They mulligan to 6.
I think the game plan here is probably going to be they keep a 6. I'm going to lead on Verdant, and I'm probably going to fetch Swamp with that. Okay, and they play a land tapped, sure. Get our basic Swamp here. Alright, that's not bad. We're going to play out our Geist, and we'll swing for 2. And the reason I'm leading on the Geist is because I'm actually going to Evo into Obliterator next turn. And I don't know if they can beat that. Gives you an interesting out against this type. That's annoying. Alright, well, regardless, we'll have a Grist next turn. Alright, they have Sacred Foundry, which means they might have... Okay, that's pretty good. They might have Solitude in the deck. So I'm actually going to go Wall of Roots into Wall of Roots here. We're going to build out our mana base, give ourselves some protection against a potential Blood Moon. So next turn, if we draw land, I could go Grist into Obliterator. There's a mountain. And they put Obosh in the hand, sure. Okay. Okay, so not an Obliterator, or not a land, but I think that one's fine. We'll Evo this Wall of Roots, get our Obliterator. Our opponent is probably like, what in the world? And we'll pass the turn. Can you beat that? 3 mana, Blood Sun, sure. That is perfectly fine. Lotus Fields, okay. Okay, so they're doing that. So Solitude is a very real possibility here. Okay, they stomp our bird. Alright, we want to find a black source here. If not the end of the world either. Okay, and there it is. Cool. So we'll start with an attack for 5. Oh my gosh, I clicked through that. So I forgot that Blood Sun doesn't... I was going to click yes to the shock effect, and because of Blood Sun, that prompt doesn't come up, so I literally just click through casting my Yawgmoth. So we would have drawn a card there, and we would have a Yawgmoth in play. We'll see if this costs us the game here. Alright, so I'm going to lead. Now that we only have 1, I think I'm going to go Grist into Bird this turn. That is so brutal. And they have 5 mana up, so I'm anticipating a Solitude here. So brutal. Yeah, we should have a Yawgmoth in play right now, and then this turn we would have gone Grist into Bird. Alright, we're up to 24. So brutal. That misclick. That might cost us. They have 4 cards in hand. Grist, Patron goes to the graveyard. Alright, so something to make note of with the Blood Sun. That prompt does not show up if it is in play. Alright, they have a second Lotus Field, so they have basically infinite mana at this point. They can't have Cryptic Command, so that's something we don't have to worry about. See if they have a Fury here, which I'm guessing is what this is, yes. And I imagine they hit down the Grist. Oh no, they're going to hit down our creatures to the Grist and then attack it. Yeah, so that misclick is costing us this game. It would be a completely different situation had we not misclicked there. Very frustrating. They have 3 cards in hand. Endurance. Do we care about Endurance? So I think we're going to instant speed this Endurance, try to nab this Solitude. We'll take a hit, a big hit, and then the following turn we'll get our Yawg out. I forgot about this. Creatures. Okay, I'm just going to scoop this up. This game should have gone very differently had I not clicked through that. Okay, game 2. We're going to bring in our Liberator. We're going to bring in our Magus, I think. Magus is I don't think we want Magus. Bring in Go for the Throat, bring in Thoughtseize, bring in Shieldred, bring in Might. It's a lot of cards, but I think that's fine. I think we can dump an Endurance. I don't think, knowing that they have Solitude, I don't think Obliterator is very good now in this matchup. Thoughtseize, Shieldred, Might. Wolf, not great. They will have Ragvan, but we're going to be on the play this game. We're going to shave on some birds as well. I don't know if I want to go for the Throat. I might only keep 1. And then I think Innkeeper's probably pretty bad here too. Innkeeper might actually be better than Zulaport. Yeah, I think we're going to go Innkeeper over Zulaport. We'll go with this. There might be an argument to keep or cut an Evo or a Chord as well. I think it's kind of weak, but I think it's a keep. I'm mulligan to 6 again. I'm so disappointed with that misclick. That was brutal. If you see sweat dripping down my face, I just worked out before I started filming this, so that is why. We'll lead on a basic here, and we'll pass the turn. If I have a little bit of a glisten to my face. Okay, opponent plays out a Spike Field, passes the turn. I think we're going to lead on a So I can lead on Innkeeper and then go Geist next turn and start clocking them. I think that's what we're going to do. If they want to hit down this Innkeeper, we're fine with that. Doesn't really matter. Flagstones. Rest in peace. That's really annoying. All right, so that doesn't make things very good with our Geists here. Chord of Calling. So I wonder if we chord. My biggest concern is if they have a Fury and just wipe our board, but maybe we take that chance for the opportunity to have a Yawg in play next turn. I'm going to hold one of my Geists in hand, and the hope here is they don't have a Fury. Foundry, untapped. I'll make sure I turn off auto yields. We'll fetch a basic here. Basic Forest. I'm not exactly sure how Urborg works with Blood Sun. This comes in untapped, so I'm not going to click through that this turn. And we're just going to pass the turn from here. So this opens up the ability for them to have a Lotus field now. I guess I should probably be bringing Force of Vigors here, knowing what they're doing. Pyromancer, sure. A little bit of a Nombo there with Rest in Peace. Exiled another Blood Sun and an Inspiring Vantage, sure. Portable Hull. See who they target here. So them doing this now means that if they do have a Fury, they'll be able to nab our Yawgmoth here, or Solitude. Shieldred's interesting, but I think Yawg is probably just the better move. And I think we're going to dump down this. Let's gain a life first. I think we'll dump down the Elemental. The only way we get burned with this Pyromancer is if they have something like an Ephemerate. No Fury, no Fury. They're paying costs. 2 mana. Prismatic Ending. Okay. We'll sacrifice there as well. Draw another card. Sure. Alright, we're ahead right now. We'll see if it stays this way. Another Geist. Once again, I'm not sure how this Urborg works, but we're going to find out. Okay, it works the way you would expect. So I'll Grist, plus the Grist. Lost a Young Wolf, sure. Play out a Geist. I think we'll dump down this Pyromancer. Alright, that's pretty good. Then we're going to swing for 4 here. So as long as they don't have a hasty threat, our Grist is going to survive here, which I don't think, I'm not expecting or anticipating. And if we can get rid of this Rest in Peace, I think we should be able to close up the game, as long as our Yawg stays alive. 3 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana, Fury, I'm guessing. Okay, there's a Fury. So this is not the end of the world here. 4 to our Yawg. I think we're just going to let that happen. Mana, they have 1 card in hand. Okay, moving back to our turn. Alright, so from here, okay, so the move, tap this, get rid of the Rest in Peace. Minus, dump the Geist, kill the Fury. I feel like this is a match we should have won already. This feels like we're winning this game. It feels like we should have won the match. Alright, we're going to attack for 5. The hope is they don't have another Fury here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, I'm going to play out the Hierarch in another land. Might be wrong to play out the Hierarch, but we shall see. If they do have another Fury, we'll be in trouble. See if that's what this is. Alright, that's pretty good. Draw 2. Alright, another Fury. They just drew it off the top. Alright. Okay, so if we draw a Yawg, we're still fine. Or a way to get Yawg. Not out of this game. And there it is. Okay. Alright, we're in it to win it. So top deck for a top deck here. An eye for an eye. Alright, we're dumping down this Fury here. Alright, drew a land. That doesn't really do anything. Alright, Chord should win us the game. Alright, we're just going to get Hepatra from here. Done. Alright, and Hepatra will lock this up. Alright, Shieldred. Shieldred not too bad. I'll go down to 12 here. And I'm just going to minus this Pyromancer once, I think. No, we'll dump it down twice. That's fine. We'll go a little more wide with our board state. And we'll swing for 3. So I could swing for 4 here, but I don't think I need to. I'll play out this Blooming Marsh. Oh, I played a land already? We'll play out the Young Wolf. Pass the turn. 7 cards in hand. And then we're infinite with Shieldred on our next turn, assuming that our Yawg is still in play. This is a match we should have won. Should be 2-0 right there. Very, very disappointing. Okay. Do I want... I feel like another Force of Vigor wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't hate Force of Vigor here. I'm going to shave another bird and a Chord for 2 Force of Vigors. And we'll go with this. Unfortunately, we can't keep this 7. I probably should have, I think I still have a wolf boarded out. I should have kept one of the wolves in. Yeah, I boarded out a wolf. I should have changed that for a Strangleroot game 3 here. Just to have an out to Ragavan. More outs to Ragavan. We're going to mulligan this. They kept their 7. Alright, we're going out of 5 again. Game 3, 2 matchups in a row. We'll keep this. Alright, and I think we're going to bottom the Might and the Hierarch. So we're leaning very hard on this Thoughtseize and on this Yawg. We're leaning hard on everything here. Don't want another Yawg. I'm going to shock this in. Yes. We'll Thoughtseize them. Okay. Okay. Solitude, Ephemerate, Prismatic Ending. So do we get rid of the Solitude? So if I get rid of the Ephemerate, we need to find a Grist. Grist is like our best draw, I feel like, from here. Like land into Grist. This is a tricky one. So this is all just straight removal. What's the move here? If I get rid of Solitude, Ephemerate doesn't really do much for now, but they have, I'm guessing, 8 Evoke Elementals in the deck. I feel like it's got to be either Solitude or Ephemerate, the chicken or the egg here. I feel like it's probably the Ephemerate. I'll let them Solitude 1 Yawg and then have the other one as backup. But then if they get Elish Norn in play, that's going to be very, very problematic as well. This is very tricky. I mean, do I just have to hope they don't draw another Elemental? Maybe. I feel like this game's going to go long, though, with all the removal that they have. I'm going to get rid of the Ephemerate. Might be wrong, but we'll see. This is going to be a tough one, everybody. Gonna be a tough one. Alright, Geist. Geist not terrible. I don't hate leading on the Geist. Let them ending that, and then we'll get out our Wall of Roots. I'm going to shock again here. Start dealing some damage. Wall of Roots is more important than the Geist. 1-2 ending. Yes, okay, we knew about that. Hoping they're stalling on lands too, which it seems they are. So they have 5 cards in hand. Alright, drew another Geist. This turn, I'm going to play out the Wall of Roots, and I'll pass the turn. See if they break on a land again. Okay, they discard the Elish Norn, and they're going to march our Wall of Roots, which I think we're very okay with. Like, we'll take a 2-for-1 for this exchange. Like, if we can deplete their resources, I think we're good. Another Wall of Roots. Pass turn. Okay, they let us have it. Okay, so this is interesting. So I'm going to go 1, 2, Geist. And I'm using my Wall of Roots mana because if they have an Ephemerate, or they draw into Ephemerate, we'll be able to cut off the Solitude Ephemerate line with this Go for the Throat. Let's see if they continue to get stuck on lands here, hopefully. Ugh. Alright, we need a land. Blood Sun. Okay. Alright, a non-fetch land. Non-fetch land. 1 time. 1 time. Okay, that's not terrible. So we'll start with an attack. Attack for 2. Once again, I'm going to use the mana from this thing here. So the question is, do I dump this Blood Sun now and give them the opportunity? So if they cast like a Lotus field, I mean, I think they would have done that already because it would have given them, it wouldn't have been that big of a drawback to sacrifice their flagstones. So I don't think they have a Lotus field. So I'm going to let this sit for a turn. Blood Sun number 2, sure. Doesn't change too much. They have 6 cards in hand. We know one of them's a Solitude. Alright, land drop. Hierarch, not terrible. Start with an attack for 4. Add our Hierarch. Now if they have a Fury, we're in pretty big trouble. There's the Solitude, discarding another Elish Norn. They are dumping what? Okay, Geist, sure. See if they have an Ephemerate here. Touch of the Spirit Realm. Yeah, we're going to play around this. See if they have an Ephemerate on top of it. Alright, we got him. Alright. Yawg will be entering play in just a moment. Alright, Dryad Arbor, not terrible. There's Yawg. Dryad Arbor. Swing for 3. Another Solitude. Discarding another Elish Norn. It's 3 Elish Norns exiled. Alright, so they're exiling Yawg. We're going to dump this down now. We're going to draw 2 off this. Force of Vigor. They have 2 cards in hand. If we draw another land, we'll get our Grist out or our Yawg. They're still stuck on land here. Stomp. Okay. Land. Alright, we're in it. Grist. plus. They're going down to 5. So they've got this Bone Crusher up on their next turn. Yawgmoth lets us play around these Blood Suns now too. Alright, there's 4 mana. Is it Bone Crusher? Yes, okay. Land 1 time. Land 1 time. Another Grist. So we can Grist minus, put them down to 3, and then Grist plus. I think that's reasonable. Grist number 2, we'll keep the new one. Plus, pass the turn. They're at 3 life. We have lethal on board. What do you have? Notice they don't have Obosh, so they switched up their plan post sideboard here. They're playing something. Thinking about playing something. So like if they have a Fury or something like that, they can't hit both of our creatures. Well, I guess they can't hit just our Grist because we have lethal on board, so they need to do something about our board state here. Let's see what they have. 1/2 feels like a touch of the Spirit Realm maybe. Pyromancer, that's a good one. It's a very good one. Discard Fury and Solitude. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. 1 mana. Portable Hull. Target the Liberator, I would imagine. Sure. So we're going to be able to hit that with this Force of Vigor, depending on what we draw here. If we draw a land, that would be great. There it is. There it is. There's our Yawg. So from here we can dump down their creatures, hopefully draw into a green card, Portable Hull, get rid of this, get rid of the Portable Hull, and then hopefully just win from there. Grist Ultimate's lethal as well, so they have to answer both of those things. They're still stuck on mana, okay. They're going to draw 2 here. Very close game. Discarded as Solitude. That's all 4 Solitudes, I believe. 3 out of the 4. GG's. Close games. Let's see if we would have drawn a green card. Yes, we would have. Okay, cool. 2-1. We are back. Match 4, Modern League, playing against CannibisBoy, a marijuana enthusiast. We have rolled a 4. We are going to be on the play. Opening 7. I like it. We'll keep it. All right. Our opponent apparently knows who we are. Not sure who they are, but that's okay. We're going to lead with our Overgrown Tomb, playing out our Ignoble Hierarch, and pass the turn. My opponent says, nice Yawgmoth, I'm behind you. Nobody behind me right now, so not sure they're telling the truth. They do know about our Yawgmoth, though, apparently. CannibisBoy might be doing the same thing we're doing, plays out of Verdant Catacombs, passes the turn. Seems we're getting off a little bit quicker than our opponent here. We'll play out our Geist. We're going to be hitting for 4 here. Play out our Ignoble. And we're going to move to combat, swing for 4. Double triggers off the Ignobles. Boom, boom. Opponent takes the hit. See if they fetch EOT here. Fetch with the Verdant. Get themselves a Triome here. So, not a mirror match. Guessing this might be Creativity. My opponent's weirding me out a little bit with their chat comments. I think I'm going to discontinue interacting for the time being. They play out of Marsh Flats, pass the turn. This is kind of giving off a vibe a little bit like a Reanimator type deck. Let's see if that's what they're doing. Drew into a Verdant Catacombs, which is fine. Lead on our land drop here. We'll swing for 4. Opponent fetches. Land tapped. It feels like they're playing out a Binding, sure. So with this play, with this information that they've given me, I think I'm actually going to hold off on the Yawgmoth, and I'll probably go Grist and Geist here. Had different intentions, but because of what they just did, we're going to switch things up a little bit. Plus the Grist, and we'll pass the turn from here. So we have quite a bit of fodder for our Yawgmoth next turn. As long as there isn't like an Archon in play or something like that, I think this play works out fine. If we do lose this Yawgmoth out of hand, it will be a little bit, we'll be punished, but we'll still have a pretty healthy board state from here. So opponent plays out their second Binding. We are clearing the way for our Yawgmoth here. Not 100% clear what they're doing here. They have 5 cards in hand. We drew into a Wall of Roots. So we can go Wall into Yawgmoth, swing for 4. Like, does the extra point of damage matter? We'd swing for 5, put them down to 9. Probably doesn't matter, so I'm just going to swing for the 4 here. I seem to be a little trigger happy with the removal, so I want to conserve this Yawgmoth if I can. And based on what I've seen up to this point, if they had removal, they'd be using it. Play out the wall. That sticks. Play out the Yawgmoth. Alright. Pass turn. Opponent fetches down to 9. We'll see if the point of damage matters in the end. They could have been at 8 here. Their second Blood Crypt. Down to 7. Still a little unclear what they're doing over there. Shadow Prophecy. Okay. I wonder if this is the Calibrated Blast deck. And they scoop. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. So with that being said, I'm bringing some Thought Seizes, bring in some Endurances, bring in a Magus. Magus probably not good enough. Force of Vigor, Liberator, Might. I wonder if I need Force of Vigor. So they're running Leyline Binding, they're running the Kiki Enchantment Saga thing. I don't know, that might be overkill. Extra Endurances might be overkill too. Shieldred seems decent. Just to like get myself out of range. Obliterate is a quick clock, but they're not really, they don't really have creatures. Actually, I think I want the extra Force of Vigor because they do have the 4-drop, or the 4/4 flyer as well. Gris seems medium. Shieldred's kind of medium too. I don't know if I want Shieldred. Force of Vigor, Thoughtseize. I think we can shave on Young Wolves. They're going to be playing bolts, so we're going to shave. I think I'm going to shave on Hierarchs because I do want to have some blockers for the flyers just in case. No Renin 6. I feel like Innkeeper might be a little unnecessary, but the life gain once again might be relevant. Just to put ourselves out of range from a Calibrated Blast. Shieldred. We'll leave out Shieldred this game, and I'll leave out Accord. We'll see how this goes. I probably should have cut that Patra. 7 seems fine. We'll keep. A little slow, but I think this is acceptable. Godless Shrine. Thoughtseize, sure. Kind of have a bunch of nonsense in our hand, so this doesn't really matter too much. My guess is they probably take the Endurance or the Might. The Endurance. Gris, not terrible. We'll play out our Might and pass the turn. Blood Crypt. 3 mana types. Voidwalker. Okay. Sure. They're at 13 here. We drew into another land. So from here, because we drew into a land, I think I'm actually going to shock and play out this Hapatra and hope that we can connect with it. I think there's a good chance it probably gets bolted, but if not, I wouldn't mind having it connect. Their deck does run Fury as well, if it is what I think it is. They're fetching a lot of damage. A lot of damage coming from that side of the table. Another Blood Crypt. Down to 9. There's the Fury. Discarding a Fury. Sure. Alright. Both our creatures are getting wiped here. They have 2 cards left in hand. This feels like a Pyromancer maybe? Fable. Okay. They have 1 card left in hand. I feel like as this stands we can probably beat this. We'll take a hit for 3. We'll go down to 15. Birds of Paradise. So I'm going to play out my Innkeeper here, and then I'm going to go into a bird from this point. Zulaport doesn't really do anything, so I'm going to leave that back. Get a forest. Play out the bird. Like this incidental life game off of the Innkeeper is going to be really nice, so we'll see if we can just leverage this to just take over the game from here. They'll discard 2 cards, potentially. Discard a Brutality. Take a hit for 5. We'll go down to 10. So they have at least 1 card in their hand that they like, as it stands. Okay, so we can double spell this turn. So I think we leave with an attack for 1. Put them down to 8. Then from here, I think the game plan is going to be to get rid of this Voidwalker. Cutthroat will gain a life. And I wonder if we use the treasure here. I think we might. So I guess the other option is I can just plus this, plus go up to 11. No, I think we get rid of the Voidwalker here. Okay, opponent has 2 creatures from here. There are 3 cards in hand. Leave with an attack. Sure. Like, we've got all the mana we want at this point, so we don't really care too much. 7. This feels like a Fury. Alright, yeah, this is another Fury. Yep. Okay, that's probably going to be game. I've seen so many Furies this league. Every league, it's just Furies galore. This card is just like everywhere. So from here, I guess, okay, that's not gonna do it. We're gonna scoop. So they can just copy the Fury and just swing for lethal. All right, so I think on the play, we're gonna bring in a Shieldred. I wonder if Force is worthwhile. Haywire Might's just like minimally impactful. I think Ooze seems reasonable. Haven't really seen any bolts or anything. I feel like Grist is fine too. I'm gonna shave an Endurance. Patra's like very medium, it feels like to me. We're gonna go with this. All right, game 3. Oof, oof. This opening 7 is sketchy. Sketchy, sketchy. 1, 2, 3. Like the fact we have the Cord and the Dryad Arbor in hand are really bad. We're playing against a Thoughtseize deck, though. I don't love the prospect of having to mulligan. We can get really punished for this hand, though. I think the right move is to mulligan here, unfortunately. All right, this I like better. Kind of. It doesn't really do anything, but I think it's better. We'll get rid of a bird, I think. And we'll just lead on a Thoughtseize. I didn't really think this one through, but I think that's the move. All right, so they do have a Scion, which we kind of were suspecting. But I think we get rid of the Voidwalker. I think that's the most problematic card. Then we'll have to find an answer for the Scion. They'll clock this a little bit quicker, but... So turn 2, I guess they can go... And we have all our basics here. They can go Binding into Bolt? No. Yes. Yeah, they'll be able to do that. So they'll be able to get rid of our entire board on turn 2. But I think we still do this. And the hope is going to be that we find one of our Force of Vigors, and then we can hit the Binding and the Scion with that. We have 2 in the deck right now. Here's their Triome. And then they'll fetch a Temple Garden from here. Actually, their mana is not going to line up properly, so they're not going to be able to do that. So they're going to have to spend 2 mana to make this move. They can't fetch Temple Garden with the Mire, so it was a mistake playing out the Marsh Flats. They should have played out the Mire first. Or, yeah, they should have played out the Mire first. Oh, actually, no, they got the plain... Okay, yeah, so they can do this. Kind of. I think there was a mistake made with how they fetch, though. So I think what they're probably going to do is Binding now, and then we'll have our mana dork for next turn. Okay, no, they don't. All right, so we know about the Binding. Thoughtseize. So I think we're going to force the issue here. So we'll leave it with an attack for 1. We'll Thoughtseize down to 16. And if the Scion's the only threat in their hand, that's definitely... Ooh, Fury, okay. Fury has quite a few turns before it's viable, though. I think here we take the Scion. Let them keep the Fury. So they have 5 cards. That's what their hand looks like. We're going to play out the Peatland here and pass the turn. So we'll see if they use their mana or not. 6 cards in hand. Blood Crypt. Sure. Okay. I'm going to draw off this Peatland. So with me doing this, they might opt to bolt down the Hierarch, which I think we're fine with. Sure. Okay, we got a Geist. 4 cards in their hand. They still have their Binding up. Yavimaya doesn't really change anything. We'll swing for 2 here. Best draw for us from this point is probably like an Eldritch Evolution, depending on what they do. They have 5 cards. We know 3 of them. Bloodstained Mire is likely going to be the play from here. There it is. And they don't do anything. 4 cards in hand. Evo. Innkeeper, not great. So Innkeeper, with them having a Fury in hand, let's swing for 2. I guess the Innkeeper doesn't change too much. Like if they Fury, they hit our Geist and our Innkeeper. It doesn't really give them any extra... Okay, Witch's Cottage. So yes, this is the... They put the Voidwalker on top. So this is the Calibrated Blast deck, which is what I thought it was. So we'll see if they have a 5th land here. They do, so they can cast their Fury, but they opt for Voidwalker, and now I think they Fury us. They don't. Okay. Really love a Chord of Calling. Birds of Paradise. That is not what I wanted. So that was kind of the draw step. We needed to find something. The fact that we didn't, I think this might be game over. A little unfortunate. This isn't going to change their mana at all at this point, so we're just going to play that out. They fetch down to 8. Second Witch's Cottage, put the Scion on top. Like the biggest issue is just if they Fury down our board. That's all I care about. If they don't have another red card in hand, then I think we're okay. If they do, we're in trouble. I'm fine with taking a hit for 3. This says lifelink though. I think that's what that says. It does. Okay, they're at 11, we're at 13. All right, we need a Yawg. That's so bad. Okay. Yeah, we just have to pass the turn again. And now they have their Fury. So I think this is probably game from here. I think I said that earlier, but like we had quite a few turns to draw into a business spell and we did not find it. Okay, there's the Fury discarding a Fable, sure. We know about a Leyline Binding. Interesting they didn't just cast it. I guess they're playing around a Yawgmoth, but I don't know. Okay, they put it back on top. Leyline Binding in hand. We're gonna take a hit for 7. We're gonna go down to 6 and pretty close to game from here. Okay, that's game over. We'll scoop. 2 and 2. All right, match 5, Modern League. We are playing against Azja. We are currently 2 and 2. Some disappointing losses. We're gonna be on the draw. Opening 7, I think this is acceptable. Curves out nicely. Got some Undyers, have a Grist, have a Cord. Doesn't ramp, but I think it's fine. Opponent leads Misty Rainforest, fetches, Steam Vents. Is this Murktide again? Ragavan, sure. Got the answer to that one. See if we can get some redemption over our Murktide loss from earlier today. I'm going to lead fetching. It was probably a mistake. Playing poorly here. I'm going to fetch the basic. I should have played out the Tomb there, though. That was the move. Scalding Tarn. Opponent does not attack. Alright, from here, we'll play out the Overgrown Tomb into the Innkeeper. If our opponent wants to spend a counter spell on that, I think we're fine with that. If they want to spend a removal spell on that, we're fine with that. Like, we're getting value out of it regardless, so if they're going to spend something on it, A-okay by me. Consider. They put another land into the graveyard and they're going to bolt something. Not really getting much value. Yeah, sure. By all means. Iteration. They have 4 cards in hand. So the fact that they're using this now means we're getting our Grist into play next turn. Oh, and they did not hit a land. So they were trying to hit a land, but they did not. 1, 2, they only have 3 card types, which is good for us. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so we cannot Evo for a Yawg. This would be the chance to do it. Unfortunately not. So the question is, do we go Grist? Do we go Geist Hierarch? I think I'm actually going to go Geist Hierarch here with the intention of getting our Yawg into play next turn. Like, the pressure's on them now, so I think they have to do something. They didn't hit a land drop, so... And more times than not, their deck... There's a pressure on them to get rid of this Hierarch as well. So I think they're going to try to bolt down the Hierarch, and then depending on whether or not they have mana... Alright, second iteration, yeah, so we'll have our Yawg in play next turn. We'll be very close to just killing them. Okay, and they scoop. They missed lands again, I guess. Okay, let's throw up a game. Redemption, redemption, redemption. Ooze, Veil of Summer, Thoughtseize, double go for the throat. 7 cards in. 3 out, 6 out, 7 out. Alright, it's not letting me take it out. Okay, there we go. Game 2. Okay, so this opening 7, I do not think we can keep this. Our opponent does keep their 7. Our 6, I think, is acceptable. We'll keep, and we're going to bottom the Dryad Arbor. Opponent leads Spire Bluff, and that's it. Okay. Not the card, not what we wanted to draw here. They have 6 cards in hand. I guess the question is, do I lead Young Wolf or do I lead Thoughtseize? I think I'm going to lead Young Wolf and try to make room with the Thoughtseize a little bit later in the game. Might be a mistake. Maybe I'm supposed to like try to pick off like a Shredder or something like that. Like Obliterator is nice, but not what I want to draw right now. Earliest we're getting that down is like turn 4. They consider dumping a Misty Rainforest, fetch. See if they get a basic. Okay, so they're representing Blood Moon from here. This is a Ledger Shredder, and they pass the turn back. Turn's never a bad draw against this deck. So I do want double green, so I am going to fetch Shock, and we're going to Thoughtseize from here. Okay, so a lot of this we can play around. Dress Down doesn't really change much. The Murktide is the most threatening card. Like, the other stuff doesn't really do anything, so I think we're just going to get rid of the Murktide. Their hand is actually pretty bad. I suppose I could have taken like Dress Down and then Endurance them, but I feel like this is a fine line of play. They shock. Okay. Interesting. Take a hit for 1. We'll go down to 14. Alright, we definitely wanted to pull land there. We're just going to pass the turn from here. We are going to have them, like the Court of Calling is going to hit us. So I think they'd probably Dress Down here. Nope. Okay. We're representing Court of Calling at this point, based on the fact we didn't attack. Gonna have 13. There's the other Steam Vents we knew about. 2. Ledger Shredder. Sure. So I actually don't think I'm gonna cord because I don't want them to connive and start fixing their hand. So from here, I'm going to play that out. And I think I'm just gonna pass the turn back. We're gonna flash in this Endurance. And the question is, do I do it now or do I do it later? I think I'm gonna do it during combat. Like if they swing in, I'll try to kill one of these Shredders. Okay, they don't, which gives me the opening here. We're gonna get Basic Swamp. So they read that, that's what I had. And I think they might Dress Down here. Maybe the move is me doing it during the main phase, end of the main phase. That's probably the right move. So we'll let this happen. They have 4 cards in hand. We know one of them. We drew into a Grist. I think we're going to play this out, see if they have a counterspell for it. They don't. So we're going to plus the Grist and then pass the turn. So we have a Yawgmoth next turn, depending on what they do. Okay, maybe not. Takes me off the Court of Calling that I was hoping to cast. If we draw into a... well, that's 3, that's a lot. 3 lands. So we know about Spell Pierce. If we draw into an Urborg or a Twilight Mirror, we'll be able to cast this Obliterator out. That is neither of those cards. Land plus double hit. Nice. Okay, they have a land. So my game plan EOT is going to be cord for an Endurance, I think. Consider, sure. Put Scalding Tart into their graveyard. Okay, because they cast Consider, I'm going to wait again. I don't want to let these things bump up. I'm going to cast this Innkeeper. Start gaining some life off of this thing. This also gets me closer to Obliterator. A little bit of a stalemate right now. Consider, they really, really want to cast a second spell for the turn. Lightning Bolt, they trigger. What's their target here? They're targeting me. Interesting. 1 card. 2 cards. Very aggressive line of play from them. So now we have the green light to start doing stuff. We know about the Spell Pierce in hand. Heat the Endurance. I'm going to respond with a cord. And we'll get a Yawg into play. If they have a counter spell for this, we're fine with that. Yeah, we can pay for that. Yes. And now if they have another one, we'll just cord during our turn. And then we'll dump all these Ledger Shredders. We drew into a bird, which is fine. Alright, so from here, I'm pretty sure we have the win. Alright, so we'll start with a plus. I'm going to get a Hepatra. And now I'm going to eat their whole board. And drawing into this Court of Calling, that is lethal from here. So I'll play out the Twilight Mirror. It's very tempting to play out this Obliterator just to do it. Oh, we can do both. We'll play out our Wall of Roots. I'm going to respond to this with a cord. Yeah. Oh, I don't have the... Yeah, I don't have the... I forgot. I cut the what do you call it from the deck. So I don't actually have the win from here. I'm getting a little too fancy here for my own good. But I don't think we're losing from this point. Okay, the scoop. 3-2. 3-2. So we finished out our first donation decklist league, Zane's Yawg list, featuring Phyrexian Obliterator, with a 3-2 record, which was, given like the scope of decks we played against, I think it was actually a pretty solid record. Like we beat the White-Red Fury Solitude Ephemerate Elish Norn deck. We beat him game 3 on a mold of 5 as well, which I think is quite a tall order to be able to accomplish. We lost to Blue-Red Murktide, game 3 on a mold of 5, and we lost to another Fury deck in, I don't know if that was 2 or 3 games, in 3 games. So, you know, I think a tough slate of matchups that we played against, finishing out with a winning record, I think is respectable in this situation. I was actually really surprised with how Phyrexian Obliterator performed. It was definitely a little clunky, especially when we drew it in that last game. But in the games we resolved it, when it was like the right decision, it definitely won us one of the games against Blue-Red Murktide. I played it or tutored for it in the white-red Obosh matchup before I realized they were on white. Had they not been on white, I think this would have just been game over if they were just like a mono red deck. But the fact that they were on white, they had an out to that. But, you know, I think I could see this card being like kind of like a secret tech, like a one-of in the sideboard as an option to beat these red-based removal decks, to have an out against rhinos. The card felt powerful. My biggest concern when playing it is what you have to do to your mana base to make it work, specifically Urborg, which is a card I am very not fond of. So I definitely don't want to go back to playing this card. The 2 Twilight Mirror I have in my deck, I don't know if that's good enough to be able to play this card, but you know, I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to see what happens minus the Urborg in the deck. So, and given this list too, the recommendation that I would make to Zane for the future would be definitely want a second Twilight Mirror. I'm not sure exactly what you would cut for it. Probably the Yavimaya, but I don't think you can play this card and not have a second Twilight Mirror in the deck. I also would like to have a second Boseiju, so I'd probably shave on a Windswept Teeth to add in that. Besides that, the sideboard also pleasantly surprised with the double Go for the Throat. There's a new card that was spoiled out of March of the Machine, the black and 3 colorless removal spell that has Convoke. I could see taking one of these slots, but double Go for the Throat, surprisingly relevant over the course of that league. And the sideboard actually just felt like really solid all the way around. I also didn't hate the one of Haywire Might and Liberator split. Like having both of those at my disposal actually felt really nice in some matchups, specifically when there were like Scions on the opposite side of the battlefield. So, you know, this list kind of, you know, opened my eyes up to some possibilities. Not to say that I'm necessarily going to run exactly as this is, but some things to think about, I think is my takeaway from this. So, Zane, thank you for sending this list my way, and thank you for, you know, continuing to be a supporter of this channel. I really, really appreciate it. So, that is going to do it for the day. I am open and looking for more donation deck lists. So if you have a list that you want me to run on this channel, my email is in the description below. Feel free to send me an email with your donation deck list. There is a small fee associated with me running your list on this channel, but I think it's a win-win-win in that you're supporting this channel further. You are getting your list onto the channel. And you're furthering help the quality of my content, because that is what those funds will go towards. So I'm looking to purchase a green screen to improve the quality of the content. So that's what that money will be going towards. So thank you, Zane, for supporting this channel. Thank you to everybody else for your continued support. I look forward to doing another one of these in the future. And I'm eager to see what you guys have in store for me. So until next time, everybody, I'll be back on Friday with a competitive build. You might see Obliterator again in the sideboard. We'll see. But until then, you know the deal, everyone. Be well.